stock company that is in Venezuela, oil producing stock company, and they're the largest company in Venezuela. So I was just kind of watching that. And by the way, as a side note, I'm not endorsing any stocks or anything like that. I'm just reporting news. There was airline stocks went up 2% because we opened up travel through the Caribbean. So things are getting back to normal, whatever the new normal is. But the new normal for as far as the market is going to be volatility, and that is not going to evade us or avoid us in 2026. I think it's going to get much more pronounced. So it's a buckle your seatbelt environment, and don't try and short-term trade markets is what my advice would be, unless you're very seasoned at this already.
So I think it's going to be a Betty Davis type of plane ride. Buckle up because the ride's going to get bumpy. So let's talk about China, and let's talk about Russia. They're going to be two countries that are going to be most affected by the president, wanting to impose the Monroe Doctrine back on Central America. And how do you think that will play out?
Well, there was about 5 countries that responded verbally that said either they're neutral or they support what the operation was all about. And then there's a throng of other countries that were in opposition, as much as saying we got to get the United Nations involved. It's like the United Nations not going to do anything about this. They can go there, eat all they want, and that's not going to do anything. But specifically, here's what China said. Such hegemonic acts of U.S. seriously violates international law and Venezuelan sovereignty. China is deeply shocked by and strongly condemns the U.S. blatant use of force against sovereign state in action against its president. Such hegemonic acts of the U.S. seriously violates international law and Venezuela sovereignty.
Well, that's rich. That's rich for the Chinese to say that.
Yeah, exactly. Here's what Russia said. Pretty much the same. Russia condemns the U.S. military action in Venezuela, saying there is no tenable justification for the attack. We're deeply concerned and condemn this act. And many other countries like Colombia, Iran, obviously, Chile, Cuba, obviously, is not for this. I was surprised France was not for this either. But let's put this all in one big bowl. There's not going to be a war breaking out, in my opinion, because of this. Because they saw how well we did the military operation.
Yes, it did.
It was impeccable, incredible. And so you don't want to fight with the big dog in the world. Now, the flip side of this is this. My fear is we're already talking about doing military action and taking over Greenland. There's talk that President Trump's going to go into Colombia, Cuba, and Mexico and take down their cocaine mills, which I get all that. But at some point, we cannot be acting like Rome. And I support our president. But this was one of the reasons that Rome fell. They wanted to go in and control the whole world. We don't need to be that. And President Trump, campaigned and said we weren't going to be that. I'm not saying he's going to go and do that. What I'm saying is if we go much further down the road in this, then we could be labeled by the rest of the world as that. These countries like Russia and China, they're not going to fight us military-wise. They're going to fight us financially. That's BRICS. And other countries outside of BRICS, this is going to escalate the de-dollarization that we saw. And the dollar went down 10.5% last year. So let's put that into perspective. That's the biggest downward movement in history in 1 year, going all the way back to 1973. So if you lived outside of the United States and you're a foreign investor, or put it more blatantly, you're a central bank, which buys the most of our debt historically, up until the last few years, when the tide goes in, the tide goes out, and the tide's going the other way. They're not wanting our debt, they're getting rid of our debt. Would you buy something that has a guaranteed loss of 6.5% a year? And where did I get that number? Well, if a treasury is paying 4% and the dollar went down 10.5%. That's a 6.5% net loss. Now, would you buy that asset that's supposed to be the safest asset in the world? That's the world reserve currency. The answer is obviously, emphatically no. Would you buy gold? Gold went up 65% last year. Silver went up 148%. And now the new Basel international banking laws went into effect last summer, which we talked about, which means banks now have choices in the United States and are required to have an asset, a liquid asset on hand, and they only have two choices. They have a choice to buy a treasury, and they have a choice to buy gold now, physical gold. Before the summer of last year, they didn't have that choice. So if you were the bank manager here locally, what are you going to choose? An asset that you made a couple percent on here locally, or an asset that you made 60+%? It's a no-brainer. So the world has fundamentally changed. And why did this change happen? Everything that we've been talking about, I don't want to sound like a broken record every week, but it's our debt. And so this just is a snowballing thing. That's why we're going to see major movements in metals this year. And that's why this is a structural, fundamental problem until we get our debt under control. And there's nothing that is showing us anything that says our debt is going to scale back. In fact, it's ballooning.
All right, I got to get a break in quickly, David, and we'll be back to talk further here on the Dave Elswick Show. We're looking at 8:21 on a Thursday morning of the first Thursday of 2026. We'll be back with David in just a moment. Conservatives fight for smaller government, really good conservatives, but why not when it comes to health care? It's time to change the system, and how do we do that? Well, conservative health plans that reward you and not insurance companies or the government for your smart health care choices. If you make great choices, you should be rewarded for that. Not government-subsidized ripoffs that create an illusion of affordability. YourHealthPlanMan.com has plans for you all year round, not just in a certain time of the year, all year round. Pat Davis and his family team have over 30 years combined experience. Many save 30 to 50% on premiums. Incredible savings for families. Many move from their work plans because they save so much money leaving those work plans. Often get paid to go to the doctor and even more for urgent care. The team has saved clients literally thousands of dollars in premiums. Low or no deductibles. Small group plans are available. Text the word NOW to 501-650-6520, YourHealthPlanMan.com. That's the word NOW to 501-650-6520, YourHealthPlanMan.com. Take control. This is the part that a lot of people, they listen to it and they go, well, I don't know nothing about insurance. You don't need to know a lot about health insurance. You talk to the people for Your Health Plan Man, they'll help you with this. They'll see what things really cost with transparent pricing, plan subsidies, affordability. They help big insurance companies and big pharma. They're the ones that fit that bill. Get the best health insurance for the least amount of money. If you need health insurance, if you want to be in control of your own health care choices and help change the system, don't wait. Here's what you need to do. Text the YourHealthPlanMan.com team the word NOW to 501-650-6520. That's the word NOW to 501-650-6520. YourHealthPlanMan.com. All right, back with you. We're talking to David here on the Dave Elswick Show. And, David, let me kind of expand this out a little bit. At this time of year, you come up with several predictions for the rest of the year. How well will your scorecard go last year? And then what do you see happening this year in 2026?
Well, at December of 2024, I made my 2025 predictions. And what I said then, and I wasn't on your show then, but I was on lots of other national radio shows. I said, this is the year everything's going to change. The world is going to wake up to the fact of financially is a structural problem financing our debt. And there's going to be a big rally in gold and silver, much more than the rally that we would have in stocks indexes. And so I said, the Federal Reserve is going to lower interest rates only 2 times. What happened with that? Wall Street was saying 5 times to 6. Some were saying 8. We had 3 rate cuts last year, so I was conservative on that. As far as what the market did, well, the Dow went up 13%. The S&P went up. These are just average numbers. The S&P 16% and the NASDAQ 20%. Like I said before, gold went up 65%, more than all 3 indexes combined, which is just unheard of. A 30% movement in gold, it would be a strong movement per year in gold. Silver went up 148%, like I said. That's just unheard of. And I'm going to explain why that has happened and why we're going to see these movements. Where we're going to have moving forward, I think we're going to see similar moves in the Dow, the NASDAQ, and the S&P 500. I think you're going to see the dollar continue to go down by index. I think you're going to see the world continue to not want to hold our treasuries. Therefore, you're going to see this big movement, even more so in gold. And silver will be a side plate, but it'll probably outperform gold. I think gold is going to go up probably about 50% this year. I know that sounds aggressive, but we're in a fundamental shift. Normally, first of all, I'm very conservative. I grew up on a farm. But these numbers sound big, but we're in a totally different environment. The world has woken up. Now, I think they might revalue gold this year because that's what the administration's been alluding to. And I have that white paper that talks about that. Make sure you get that, called The Golden Era, that has a silver lining. Silver, there is finally, for 32 years I've been doing this, I've been hearing year after year, there's a shortage in gold and silver. There's a shortage in silver. There's a shortage in silver. And I said, nonsense. The market will tell us when there's a shortage in silver. The market told us this last year in the summer, there's a shortage in silver. And there is a shortage in silver so bad that it is not going to go away in 2026. And I'm getting into it next week more about that. But we are in a major bull market in gold and silver. All markets are going to do well. I don't think there's going to be a crash in the economy. At some point, there is going to be a reset in the market, though, and we'll get into more of that because the market is still highly overvalued. I know we're running out of time. So the key is volatility this year and diversification. If you're not in precious metals, don't miss out on this big rally that we are going to have because they're going to revalue gold, which will probably put it up more than what I'm predicting, and silver is intact for a massive shortage. Look what happened last year. Maybe I'm too conservative on my numbers, but I think those are realistic numbers to go by. And I'm not guaranteeing people these numbers, obviously, but call our company and learn about that because you can roll over your 401k and your IRA into physical gold and silver.
David, thanks for joining us today. I've got to scoot. I'll be back with you next week. Look forward to talking to you there. David Fisher here on the Dave Elswick Show. Let's take a break and join up with Bill O'Reilly. A lot of good information from David Fisher in that last segment. I hope that you listened to all of it. If you didn't, here in a few hours, we'll be posting today's show, and you can listen to it like a podcast if you'd like, and you can listen to that half hour again and hear what David has to say. He sees gold and silver having another fantastic year and going up, and he's expecting a rearrangement of how much gold is going to go for through the Fed. So you might get in at I don't know what the cost is per ounce right now, but it may go up by what it went up like last year, like 60%, and then add in another 20% when they say how much gold is worth. And the federal government has done that several times over the last few years. And go get those those papers that David has. You need those, and you need to read them to understand BRICS, to understand what's going on in our country as far as the markets go, and as far as gold and silver is going to go. We're expecting gold and silver to continue its upward trend, and taking care of that. They're taking care of that. I closed out one of my 401ks and put that money into gold, and all of that is being put together for me as we speak here for the Dave Elswick Ranch, so to speak. And I'm trying to diversify, so I've got money in a lot of different places, because I'm looking at retiring in the next 2 to 3 years. 3 max, 2 minimum, and that's I want to make sure that I'm doing the right things at the right time. All right, I'm sitting here watching our big television in the studio, and Fox News is out live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, covering these people that are protesting about ICE being there. And, they're protesting about the lady who got shot there yesterday. They're still doing the look at what happened there. It should look to me that she was driving that car, that SUV of hers, at ICE agents, and if she was doing that, they had every right under the sun to fire on her, and she was responsible for her own demise. As I sit and watch it today, here's what I've noticed, and I'm watching these people, and the people don't. I don't know if they don't understand, if they're just stupid, or they're paid protesters or whatever, and so they're trying to earn their money or whatever it is that supposedly they're doing. But they're going up and making contact with the ICE agents. Now, the ICE agents are there to do a job, and it is a mandated job. And they're going up, and they've arrested a lot of people, and now they'll be taking those people and moving them back to their old countries that they came from illegally. But these people are going up, and the ICE agents are asking them to keep a perimeter, to stay back so much, so that they're not right up in the ICE agents' faces while they're doing their business. And these people are coming up and are bumping in to federal agents. Well, here's one thing I know about when you're dealing with federal agents. I've seen it in a lot of times, like when I dealt with the riots in Indianapolis back in the 90s and things of that nature, and it's this. You don't go up and start bumping into federal agents. They set up the corridor. They set up the line. You stay behind the line. You can yell and scream and holler all you want, but if you start throwing stuff at them, or you start going up and physically putting your hands on them, there will be a response that you don't want to get involved with. They're highly trained on taking a person down and then putting zip ties on them and hauling them off to jail. And that's what they're doing. It's a lot of what they're doing right now in as that's going on right now. It's crazy. All right, I'm looking here. It's about 8:40 right now, and I'm looking at my man right now, who's coming in to see me. He's got here a little early because I asked him to come in at 9 o'clock today, but he's here early. And that's Razorback Zach. He's joined us because there's a lot of things going on today. Today's the first semifinal football game between Ole Miss and Miami, and we'll see if the quarterback from Ole Miss can have another, let me pull a rabbit out of a hat type of of a game tonight, and then tomorrow night. I'm not wearing it today, but I will be wearing it tomorrow. I'll be wearing my Indiana Hoosiers hoodie tomorrow as my Hoosiers go up against, Oregon. That game is going to be played in Atlanta. Now it's a lot bigger distance for Oregon fans to travel to that game than it is for Indiana fans. So I'm expecting a decided red crowd in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium there in Atlanta tomorrow night. So I'll be watching that one tomorrow night for sure. Let's talk Razorback about, and then I also want to talk a little basketball with you as well. But let's talk. Ole Miss. Ole Miss is real. I want everybody to understand that Ole Miss is real, but Ole Miss can't depend on their quarterback, pulling wins out of his rear end every game. As far as that, go ahead and turn your mic on there. There you go.
Well, when you've got two quarterbacks like Ole Miss has got, plus you've got the turmoil with the coaching staff already.
Yeah.
I would be remiss if I didn't say who's going to coach the game, because all the assistants are going to LSU with Lane.
Yeah, well, they're gone, aren't they now? Did they leave?
I believe so. I think they left after the first one. But at the same time, when you've got Chambliss, I think is the one that entered the transfer portal. So I mean, you've got this great Ole Miss team, but who's going to be left on it to get to the national championship? Dave, that's the problem I have with the transfer portal.
Well, yeah, they shouldn't open until after the season is completely over.
Well, that's true, but one of my guys came up with a better idea. As the team, do it by team. Like Arkansas should have opened the week after their final game against Missouri. All right, and as the team goes, when your season's done, that's when your portal opens. So for teams like, and I'm going to go ahead and say it, Indiana, theirs won't be done until after January 19th because they're hanging a banner inside that stadium.
I'm sure hoping so.
Oh, my goodness.
They decimated Alabama.
That
was a statement win.
That was probably the worst loss I have seen Alabama take in 20 years.
Well, it is. It was.
But my goodness, was it beautiful.
I was wondering if the coach was going to have a job the next week.
I got a lot of people texting me saying they were waiting for ESPN to announce that Kalen DeBoer had gotten fired.
Yeah, I thought he was going to, because by the third quarter of that football game, Alabama packed it in. You could see it in their players.
Oh, yeah. I'd say by halftime. They knew. They knew. But, again, we've talked about it all season long. Look at how much Indiana has turned around, and it's proof that you get the right guy in the right system at the right school. You can take a no-name football school and turn it into a powerhouse.
Well,
in 2 years, Dave. 2 years.
Signetti has definitely done that.
I liked the smirk from Signetti when he. I don't know if you saw it, the eyebrow.
Oh yeah, it's kind of a Spock eyebrow.
That man doesn't smile much, does he?
He reminds me of Bobby Knight.
Yes,
he's never satisfied, and Knight was never satisfied. By the way, this Saturday is a big day in Indiana basketball. Do you know what it is?
I don't know.
50th anniversary of the undefeated Hoosiers. They went undefeated during the regular season, and during the tournament, no other team has done it since.
Well, Arkansas has got something. They can do something that this Saturday that they haven't done in probably 2 decades.
What's that?
Go 3-0 in SEC play.
Oh, wow.
They are dangerous.
They are playing well. I got to give them credit. They're playing well.
I wanted to shift, because you had said something a minute ago. I wanted to shift back to football real quick. Do you know that all 4 coaches in the college football semifinal are from the Nick Saban coaching jersey?
Yes. Yeah.
What does that tell you?
A lot of people don't realize that, but Signetti was a receivers coach, if I'm not mistaken.
In his first stint, 2007 to 2011.
Yeah, and I forget which coach he was coaching with. I don't know if it's one of the guys that are in the Final Four right now.
It is. I'd have to look. I'll have to look during the break. But what does that tell you about Nick Saban and just what he's not what he's done for the University of Alabama, but just as a coach, period, in collegiate football? That is wild.
Well, I'm more proud of IU of what they've done in the football world. I mean, you're looking at a program that had more losses in college football than any other collegiate school district. Yep. Being a number one, but the best that I had ever seen IU do was in 1968 when they won the Rose Bowl. And that's the last time they were there until this last weekend when they dismantled Alabama on the field.
Think about this. It's been almost 4 decades or more since there's been a trophy in Indiana's football trophy case.
Oh, yeah.
In one season, they've got the Heisman, they've got the Big Ten trophy, and what was the bowl game they played last weekend? Was it the Peach Bowl?
Rose Bowl.
Rose Bowl.
Peach Bowl tonight or tomorrow night.
Yeah. And then they're going to have the Peach Bowl because nobody can stop Indiana. They can try. I think Michigan State was the only one that got close. But even you said going into this season back in August, you said look out for Indiana. And here we are, 1 game away from the national championship, and we're still talking about Indiana.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how it all works out because the way college football is set up now, basketball the same way, with the portal, all bets are off. You can have one of the worst teams you've ever had and make it the best team that you've ever had the next year. You don't have to go out and recruit the team.
Oh, no.
You go out and just pay the team.
Yeah, you take a check and go, okay, how much is it going to take? That's the upside, but that's the downside of college athletics now.
Oh, yeah. Did you hear how much Arch Manning's making this season?
Last check, it was like $3.5.
$5 million. For
a mediocre quarterback.
Yep, right now, I think next year he'll be beyond mediocre. But
and see, my fiance is a big Texas fan. And when I lost the Arkansas-Texas game and had to wear my infamous shirt,
right?
She even said, Arch is mediocre this year at best. Give him a year, and he'll be the Heisman frontrunner next year.
Well, I would probably agree with that.
But what's going to happen if he comes out and nothing changes?
Well, then we'll hear from Peyton.
Well, but think about it. Just because he's got the Manning name doesn't mean
that doesn't make you great.
Exactly.
I agree.
I mean, what's he going to do? Tout that he's a Cheez-It Bowl champion?
I definitely agree with you. All right, let's get our break in. We got to do that. Then we'll come back. We'll pick it up again. Razorback Zach's going to be with me in the next hour, too. We want to talk about I want to talk more about basketball as well because the Razorbacks are playing very well right now as far as SEC basketball goes. It's the Dave Elswick Show at 1011, the answer. Razorback Zach is sitting with us here in the studio, and we've been talking about sports. Of course, the big story in college football, I believe at least, for tonight is Ole Miss, and can they continue to win with all of the extra peripherals that are going on around them? And then Indiana. If Indiana plays even close to the way they played against Alabama last Thursday, it's not going to be close tomorrow night against Oregon. They beat Oregon at Oregon, which is no small feat. They did that earlier this year. I think that they will win again tomorrow night and then play for the national championship.
Well, I mean, in order for that to happen, Ole Miss is going to have to come out and they're not going to have to come out slow. They got to come out guns blazing from the opening kickoff if they're going to have any chance of holding up against this Miami defense. Because Miami's got one of the better defenses I've seen coming out of Miami since
Yeah, it's the U kind of defense.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
But I mean, one slip up from Ole Miss and Miami's got this game. But the one thing I do like, you're going to have a first time national champion in the college football playoff.
Yep.
It's not going to be Alabama.
Nope.
It's not going to be Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State.
And I don't think it's going to be an SEC team.
When Ohio State went down, I was jumping up and down.
You know, I was kind of disappointed because I wanted to play Ohio State again and beat them twice in 1 year. Because I think that we would have.
That would have been an ESPN classic for sure.
Yeah, and it didn't happen. I did like watching Ryan Day have to eat crow.
Oh, I've never heard him cry like the way he whined after that game. Yeah. But the 4 teams that you have, Miami, Ole Miss, Indiana, and Oregon, tell me who's going to stop Oregon. Out of those 3 teams, who's got the best chance?
Yeah, Indiana has the best chance.
Yeah.
Because they are a team.
It's like Diego Pavia at Vanderbilt. Before he came to Vanderbilt, nobody knew of him unless you were on the West Coast because he was at Arizona State.
Yeah.
And he's only 5'9". He's my height.
It's kind of interesting. He's coming back for another year.
That's going to be – I think he's coming back with a vengeance.
Well, he wants the Heisman.
But nobody ever heard of Fernando Mendoza.
No.
Nobody. Now it's a household name.
Well, it's like how many schools knew about him and – didn't have him even come out and show what he could do. His story going from a no-name, 3-star? He's not even a 4-star. I know.
He's like a 2 or a 3-star to the Heisman winner.
Yeah. It's a tremendous story.
I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
That's a kid that his ability to focus is really amazing. I mean, you can watch it in the game.
Oh, it's amazing because he'll look one way, but then to throw the pass the other way without even looking.
Yep. Yeah. You know who started that really? That was Patrick Mahomes. You know, he started doing that where he would be looking one way and throw a different way,
or he'd snap his head over and throw
it sidearm or something. He's the one who brought that to professional football.
But not only do you have Mendoza, but now you have little brother Mendoza right behind him. Because didn't he make an appearance in the Rose Bowl last week?
His
little brother?
Yes, he did.
His little brother's not anything to mess around with either.
Yeah, but they just signed the kid out of the portal.
They're going to have they're going to have a quarterback battle this offseason.
Yeah,
they are. They're going to have a true quarterback battle. It's going to be interesting to see if Indiana. Well, I'm not. You know what? I'm not going to say if. When Indiana wins the national championship, where they go from here? Are they going to be able to sustain it, or?
Just because of the coach, I think they do.
I mean, think about it, though. 20-plus years the SEC's dominated. Now here comes the Big Ten. Now you're starting to see that leveling balance of the positives of the NIL, of the transfer portal, because it's not always going to be the same 4 teams. I like this 12-team playoff.
Yeah, I like it, too.
Don't expand it to 16. I like this 12. Because now you've got a team. You've got 4 teams that have not won the national championship in years.
Yeah, and all the top seeds went out in the first weekend.
It was great.
It was a bloodbath.
It was amazing. I loved it, every minute of it.
I mean, it really was a bloodbath, and it just shows you how close the talent really is in college sports.
Well, and that's the other thing too, is not paying the players is terrible, but you pay them based on their talent. Somebody's going to have to pay Fernando Mendoza.
He's going to get paid. And I think it's going to be the Raiders who pay him.
See, if he goes, I'm scared if he goes to the Raiders.
Well, he's going to have. I've talked about this already. His first 2 years are going to be just like Peyton Manning in Indianapolis. He's going to get sacked 1,000,000 times.
Oh my goodness, he goes. I mean, look at the greats that have gone to Oakland have just disappeared. Darren McFadden's one of them. He was great in college, one of the best running backs in the country. He went to Oakland and just kind of got buried.
There were no holes.
No.
In the offensive line.
No. Me personally, I'm hoping the Cowboys pick him up because, my goodness, we need help.
And it would be amazing to have Mendoza at to play for the Cowboys. It would almost be like bringing back who was the Heisman Trophy winner that they had.
Not Aikman.
Was in the military in the Navy.
You would ask me that, and my mind just went blank.
Okay. Anyway,
But yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He's that kind of quarterback. He really is,
He is
that kind of quarterback.
He is.
He is a pocket quarterback. Make no doubt about it.
The other team to watch out for next season, North Carolina, because their new offensive coordinator is Bobby Petrino.
Oh, they hired him.
They hired him. So now you have Bill Belichick at head coach and Bobby Petrino at offensive coordinator. That team could turn it around.
All right. Well, we'll talk about that and a whole lot more, and we'll talk about the Razorback basketball team, best basketball team Razorbacks have seen in many a year. That's coming up next after the news here on the Dave Elswick Show.